Welcome back to another production of Judah Forever YTV. This is an amazing one, people. Way back in September of 1897, Houston Daily Post, that was a newspaper at the time, posted this interesting article. You can't really read it here, but it's in this yellow box. I reprinted it and I went downtown Houston because I live here to check this out for myself. Saw it in the archives, Houston Daily Post, which is today is called the Houston Chronicle, and I had the microfilm copy of the Houston Daily Post, September 20th, 1897, and I had it blown up so everybody can read it on the screen right here. This is so amazing. It was republished. It actually came from Hartford, Connecticut the day before, September 19, and it was republished in the Houston Daily Post the next day, September 20th, 1897. And that's around the year my grandfather was born. Negro who can write Hebrew. This is very, very interesting, y'all. Negro who can write Hebrew. He is deaf and dumb and comes from an African town. Hartford, Connecticut, September 19th. A young African Negro has been in this city for the last few days who claims to be a Hebrew. He is deaf and dumb and as black as the ace of spades. I wonder why they find it interesting to use those kind of words. He carries a pad of paper with him and answers all questions by writing them in Hebrew and Loshken Kodesh, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Loshken Kodesh. What excites the most wonder is that he writes Loshken Kodesh very rapidly. It is the language of the books of Moses. The language of the books of Moses, that's the Torah, and is made a special study of, spoken and written with ease only by the rabbis and highly educated Hebrews. The Negro was sent to one of the rabbis of Hartford. This is in the state of Connecticut, 1897. One of the rabbis in Hartford, Connecticut, who is perfectly satisfied that he is a Hebrew. He is a Hebrew. He says that he came from a large town in Africa where there is a tribe of about 20,000 black Hebrews who speak Loshken Kodesh and are quite prosperous. These people got money back home. He also says that his father is a rabbi in that town. And that is why his father took the trouble to teach him to write these languages, which need an extra amount of labor on account of his being deaf and dumb. He says his people not only write Loshken Kodesh, but it is their speaking language as well. He left home a few years ago and has seen a good deal of the world. In each town, he hunts up the Jewish section, and there they give him clothes, food, and money. What surprises him, he writes, is that no Hebrew knows of his countrymen in Africa. So the guy is kind of lonely as he travels around the world looking for other fellow Hebrews like himself. And these Hebrews he's finding around the world are not aware of his countrymen back home in Africa. Isn't this amazing, people? This is 1897, when Negroes in America were not allowed to read and write. We were killed if we were found guilty of knowing how to read and write. Let's take a look at this that I found online quite a long time ago. History is a weapon. You can Google that. This website will probably come up. You might see it in your Google search. History is a weapon. It says here, slaves are prohibited to read and write by law. Wow. Huh. We've come a long way, haven't we? Slave masters understood that their social control of slaves could not be based solely on physical coercion. Knowledge was power, and virtually all slave codes established in the United States set restrictions. Virtually all slave codes established in the United States set restrictions, making it illegal to teach slaves to read or write. The statute below, passed by the state of North Carolina in 1830-1831, was fairly typical, and this is what it says. An act to prevent all persons from teaching slaves to read or write, the use of figures accepted. So you can use figures, symbols, signs to teach them, but you can't teach them to read or write. Whereas the teaching of slaves to read and write has a tendency to excite dissatisfaction in their minds and to produce insurrection and rebellion to the manifest injury of the citizens of this state. Therefore, so they feel threatened if we know how to read and write back then. Be it enacted by the General Assembly of the state of North Carolina and is hereby enacted by the authority of the same, that any free person who shall hereafter teach or attempt to teach any slave within the state to read or write, the use of figures accepted, or shall give or sell to such slave or slaves any books or pamphlets, shall be liable to indictment in any court of record in this state, having jurisdiction thereof, and upon conviction shall, of the discretion of the court, if you're a white man or woman, be fined not less than $100 and no more than $200, or imprisoned, white people. And if a free person of color shall be fined, imprisoned, or whipped at the discretion of the court, not exceeding 39 lashes. That's how much Yeshua got 39 lashes, no less than 20 lashes. Part 2 of the law. Be it further enacted that if any slave shall hereafter teach or attempt to teach any other slave to read or write, so slave couldn't teach another slave, the use of figures accepted, you can use figures, he or she may be carried before any justice of the peace, and on conviction thereof shall be sentenced to receive 39 lashes on his or her bare back. That's enough to kill you. That was a cat o' nine tails, a bullwhip. 39 lashes, y'all. Be it further enacted that the judges of the superior courts and the justices of the county courts shall give this act in charge to the grand juries of their respective counties. The source of this act passed by the General Assembly of the state of North Carolina at session of 1830-1831 in Raleigh, 1831. So, history is a weapon. We need to study and read the things that were written back in the 1800s, the 1700s, 1600s, and know what is it that was being hidden from us at the foundation of America, the United States of America, I should say. What is it that was being hidden from us back then? You know why? Because it will tell you who you are, why you're here, what's your purpose in this life. And that's why a lot of us don't know who we are and what's our purpose in life, because we don't know our history.